While America sleeps, it is under a blitzkrieg-level attack from within, as the CCP and the United Nations work in lockstep under the banner of the New World Order to collapse Western civilization before the citizens of the free world regain power and justice.
The committee has found that the CCP is waging a war without weapons against America, and the Biden-Harris administration has no government-wide strategy to combat CCP warfare. Unlike the first Cold War, the adversary is already within, having entrenched itself within U.S. borders, institutions, businesses, universities, and culture centers by capturing the elites and influential circles.
In my home state of New York, the deputy chief of staff to Governor Kathy Hochul was arrested on federal charges for acting as a secret agent of the Chinese government. Last year, several individuals were arrested on charges that they had helped to establish secret police stations. Dr. Thayer, can you elaborate on why the Chinese government would establish a secret police station in New York City?
Their purpose is to intimidate and coerce Chinese Americans, other members of the Chinese diaspora, for example, and why we tolerate such a violation of our sovereignty, I simply don't know.
If you do not control the borders, you are going to destroy our country. So now they're sending the migrants into New York and stuff like that. So all of my super liberal friends, now they realize what a problem is.
I personally have no confidence that the FBI will rein in its own conduct. It is my opinion that the Bureau used reprisal and fear to control the workforce. I personally believe that there are no current effective checks and balances against them conducting lawless action with any type of correction in a legitimate time frame. I welcome the work of the IG, but I think any type of lawless action, there's no legitimate time frame to rein them back in.
Meanwhile, nuclear world war metastasizes while the New World Order actor puppet dictator Zelensky joins his fellow Democrat money laundering psychopath comrades to push Russian President Putin into a nuclear corner.
President Zelensky, during his U.S. visit, urges President Biden to approve the use of long-range Western missiles against Russia.
I know my answer. We cannot grow weary. We cannot look away. And we will not let up on our support for Ukraine.
There are some in my country who would instead force Ukraine to give up large parts of its sovereign territory, who would demand that Ukraine accept neutrality and would require Ukraine to forego security relationships with other nations. These proposals are the same of those of Putin.
Canada fully supports Ukraine using long-range weaponry to prevent and interdict Russia's continued ability to degrade Ukrainian civilian infrastructure and mostly to kill innocent civilians in their unjust war.
Of course, in the UK, we have this dreadful new Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, who is doing everything wrong culturally and economically in the UK. And abroad, he wants to escalate the war in Ukraine, or the war between Ukraine and Russia.
On September 13th, the world almost ended. Everybody watching this program almost died. I almost died. The world almost died. Why? Because if the insanity of the British government and those in NATO and some in the United States had manifested itself in giving Ukraine the green light to use Storm Shadow missiles against target inside Russia, Russia would have responded. Possibly not nuclear, but it would have eliminated Kiev as a modern functioning city, and it would have struck targets in the United Kingdom, in Europe, on the European continent, and in the United States. And then we would have probably responded doctrinally by using low-yield nuclear weapons in an effort to escalate, to de-escalate, to send a signal to Russia that you can't do this. And then Russia would have responded doctrinally by releasing the totality of its nuclear arsenal against the West. And then we would have responded, and we would have died. 72 minutes is all it takes for the total destruction of the planet. Do you understand you almost died this weekend? I'm not joking. It's not a joke. I'm not kidding. You almost died and you didn't even know it.
The global elites want a world war and they want it now. There is no clearer path for global domination that provides an escape hatch from the crimes these minions of anti-humanity must be held accountable for. John Bound reporting for InfoWars.
Okay, hello and welcome. It's Doug Diamond. You have reached another Diamond Report Live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to those in chat. Glad to see you all. It's 10:05 p.m. on Sunday night, 9/29/24. The end of September is here. So, yes, no thermonuclear war in September, at least not yet. So, but look how close we just came, according to the last video there. So, yeah. Did you know? I don't think I knew. But these people are on a very, very short timeline anyway, so they are ready to kill and murder all of us at a moment's notice. So really, I think it just remains to be seen. Will we make it through the end of the month? Will we make it till Election Day? Will we make it? Will we make it? I don't know. I don't know. So anyway, we will make it, hopefully, at least through the next 2-3 hours. So I will be your host. Thank you for joining me tonight. It's Doug Diamond, the Diamond Report Live. And yeah, let's take a look at the news. I thought I'd start with my Twitter feed just because, just kind of, change things up just a little bit. But I wanted to show you guys a few of the news blurbs. If you're on Twitter, x.com is now what it is. But if you're on there, give me a follow. I would sure appreciate that. It's the Diamond RPRT. So the Diamond Report, but it's RPRT. Report is abbreviated. So anyway, let's take a look at a couple of the most recent things that I found and reposted. It used to be called retweeted, but now it's just reposted. From Nick Sortors, a guy that I follow on Twitter X. Biden just said there will be no additional resources given to the areas pummeled by Hurricane Helene. WTF, there's practically zero federal support to begin with. What's going on? Yeah, there's like little kids having lemonade stands trying to help people there. But where's the government? I think everybody in that area wants to know the same thing. Michael Yon posted, Americans need help. Rural towns in North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and Tennessee have been wiped out by Hurricane Helene. Why is this not all over the news? Why indeed? Is it because they're Republican areas, do you suppose? Is it because if we pummel them hard enough, maybe they won't go to the polls in November? Is that it? Florida? North Carolina, which just got a whole bunch of illegal voters off of the voter registration lists in the last week or so. And then Tennessee, which is a very red state as well. I guess the federal government doesn't really care if it's Republicans and conservatives who are suffering. Arm yourself. Persecuted former FBI specialist urges Americans to stock up on food. So if you're not stocked up, he's saying get that way, and you need 3 to 4 months worth of preps, is what he's saying. FBI whistleblower urges Americans to vote, arm yourself, stock up, 3 to 4 months supply of food and water, and pray. How about that? This is a warning to the American people, I say. I personally have no confidence the FBI will rein in its own conduct. I think we all know that. They are an out-of-control, illegal, unconstitutional, whatever other adjective you want to put in there, intelligence, quote-unquote, service. So, yeah, Marcus Allen, former FBI staff operations specialist, who was persecuted for questioning January 6th, how dare he, said during a hearing with lawmakers that Americans should stock up on food and prepare for hardship. He said, arm yourself and know how to defend yourself, make 3 or 4 friends in your neighborhood, and promise to come to each other's mutual aid in times of hardship. He also recommended having 3 to 4 months worth of food, not days, months worth of food stored up. He urged people to vote despite any doubts they may have about election integrity. I have massive doubts about election integrity, just like I did 4 years ago. 4 years ago proved me 100% right. I'm sure it probably did you guys as well. This time around, I know they're going to be cheating big time. If there even is an election, it kind of remains to be seen how many people will actually turn up at the polls. I'm still weighing my options here, but I can't not go and vote when I see all of the not only persecution but literal murder attempts that they have done over the last several months. 2 or 3 months, since July in particular. So, and I think that personally, that God is, for whatever reason, using Trump and protecting him, because he's now done it twice. And I don't know. I mean, I will leave that with you guys. So make that choice upon, whether or not you feel like it's a good thing or not. And I personally think that if God is going through the effort of sparing his life, we should acknowledge that. So, and obviously, with the timeline that I have put forth, I personally think that this is the literal last election that we'll have, the last one. So take that for what it's worth. Anyway, I tend to agree with what this guy's saying. Marcus Allen, former FBI staff operations specialist. I think he's right on, and kudos to him for coming out and talking about it, because it needs to be said. I mean, just ask the people in North Carolina, in East Tennessee. And I would mention too, by the way, that I've had a number of people, several people, asked if we were okay where I am, because everybody seems to know that I'm in the Nashville area, because I mention it often. And yes, we're fine. We're fine. We did have rain, which we actually needed really badly. That's about all we got where I am, but that is pretty far west from where all of the flooding and stuff seems to be. So yeah, that's good news, but not good news for the people over in Asheville, North Carolina, which I've been through there before several times. Beautiful area. So definitely keep them in your prayers. Asheville, North Carolina, Blowing Rock, and also the easternmost part of Tennessee. So yeah, it's not looking good. So needtoknow.news, this is another article I found, and I wanted to bring this up because I don't know anyone else, unless you happen to be a listener of Candace Owens. I don't know anyone else talking about this, which I think it's important to get this news out there. Who is Kamala Harris, and what is her big secret? Candace investigates. And this picture is pretty interesting. Let me read the caption here first. It says, Janet Jackson, the singer, Michael's sister, was recently harshly criticized for saying this about Kamala Harris. She's not black. That's what I heard, that she's Indian. She added that she heard that Kamala's father was white. This has become an issue because Kamala is courting the black vote and may be downplaying the white side of her family that were reported to have been slave traders. Candace Owens investigates the claim and opens a can of worms in her last 3 podcasts. Kamala's book, The Truths We Hold, An American Journey, pretty funny title, huh? Features a photo of Kamala with her purported paternal grandmother, Beryl, but it seems impossible because Beryl, supposedly this lady, Beryl died in 1960, and Kamala wasn't born until 4 years later, in 1964. That's a little problem. Kamala's father, Donald Harris, is a radical Marxist who was a professor of economics at Stanford. He says that he was born in Jamaica in 1938, but there is no birth certificate for Donald Harris. Candace speculated that Oscar, Kamala's reported grandfather, and Beryl never did marry, and that Beryl was included in Kamala's history to, quote, blackify her. Kamala's father had worked for the Jamaican Information Service that was part of the government of Jamaica, and Kamala's mother's father was the Deputy Secretary of the Government of India. Is this Kamala's big secret? And then her family tree. There's a picture here. It's a little fuzzy, but you can, if you watch the video, I think you'll get a better idea of what's going on here. Not that it really matters all that much. We all know that these people are systemic liars. They can't help but lie about absolutely everything. But this is one that I feel like Candace Owens and her investigation has literally turned up exactly what's going on here. And if you listen to this clip with me, I think you might agree. So let's listen to just a few minutes of Candace talking about what's going on here, just a little. I'll just stay on camera here.
As speculated, we were able to confirm that Kamala's black grandmother that she showed us in that picture died in 1960, before Kamala was born. I can show you right now her death certificate. Let's take a look at Beryl's death certificate, which confirms. As you can see there, it says that she died in July of 1960. It also tells us on the right-hand side, you guys probably have to zoom in on this, but she died of a uterine infection, uterine fibroids due to a hysterectomy. It has her listed as 39 years. That's actually a couple of years off from 1917, so somebody may have gotten their math wrong here. But you once again see that it lists her birthplace as St. Anne. And so this is a huge scandal. Just an absolutely huge scandal. Kamala Harris published in her book that she was standing next to her grandma Beryl. But Grandma Beryl died in 1960, 4 years before Kamala Harris was born. So who the hell is the real Beryl? Who is that woman standing next to Kamala Harris? And do you know what I noticed about that woman standing next to her? She looks a lot like the woman that Kamala claims in her book is her great-grandmother, Iris. Now, that's Iris Finnegan. Here's the book with my great-grandmother, Iris Finnegan in Jamaica. Now, I'm going to give you the side-by-side of Iris and her alleged daughter, Beryl, who died at 39. Now, that woman on the right is not 39 years old. She's clearly much more advanced in her age. I mean, we know black don't crack. I mean, that's just a scientific fact. So I would put that woman on the right-hand side, who she tried to pass off as Beryl, and I think is the exact same person. I would say that woman looks to be about 65. And then it looks like she's more advanced on the left-hand side. The great-grandmother, that's the same person. When I just believe my own eyes, we're looking at the same person. What do you guys think when you look at those photos?
So let me just interject here. I think personally, just after having watched this video a couple of times now, I think personally that this lady here, this older lady, may be the mother to this lady. I don't think it's the same person. The earlobes are different. The cheeks seem a bit different, but they are very, very similar. And I do think that they're related. I don't think it's the same person. So let me just add that. So let's keep going here.
And then it looks like she's more advanced on the left-hand side. The great-grandmother, that's the same person. When I just believe my own eyes, we're looking at the same person. What do you guys think when you look at those photos? How the hell does a person who is the vice president of the United States pass off a book, claim that these people that are in her book are her black relatives, and nobody bats an eyelash or does even a peripheral search to recognize that the woman that she put forth is implausibly her grandmother? And by the way, I'm going to say this and people can be offended, but the first thing that I thought when I saw the photo of her sitting on her great-grandmother's lap was that this doesn't look like a grandparent affection going on here. This woman looks like she could be working for the family. Quite literally, I thought to myself, this woman looks like she could be the help. And I thought that because there's a lack of affection there. Do you know what I mean? But there's no, like, in both of the photos, there's a lack of affection. It's just like a woman standing next to her. And I obviously know that that was a circumstance. When you're talking about a family that had a ton of plantations, which is the reality. She descends from Irish slavers. That is a fact that Kamala Harris cannot deny. She descends from wealthy Irish slavers who virtually they did own the town. They named the town. It was Hamilton Town, then it was Brownstown in Jamaica. He had over 1,000 slaves, okay? It would follow that there would be help around the house. And I'm just going to put here as a question mark, not as a fact. If they're looking at some of these photos of people who became like family and they're trying to pass them off like relatives, again, not a fact, a huge question mark, but my instinct tells me that that person is actually not her family member. And if it is, well, Kamala's got some explaining to do. How did she meet Grandma Beryl almost 20 years after Grandma Beryl died? Because Kamala Harris looks to be about 20 in that photo that she presented. Then there's another bit of a mystery, as I said. If Beryl married after her or before her wedding when she was 25 years old to the missing Newland, if anybody can find Newland, please let me know. But if Beryl married at some point Oscar Wilde Joseph Brown, where is their marriage certificate?
Okay, well, you get the point. We could go on here. Now, she's put together a 3-part series here, at least so far. This is, I think, part 1. Kamala Harris lied about her black grandparents. It's episode 71. It's on her Rumble channel. I know she was recently banned for a week or two from YouTube, although she's probably back on there by now. And this is her Rumble channel. It's actually these top several videos at the moment from going back about 5 days ago. So the one that we're watching the clip of is this first one here. Breaking news, Kamala Harris lied about her black grandparents. What is Kamala hiding is the next one. And then the third one is, I think I found Kamala's real family. And then the investigation continues. So there's a 4-part series here at the moment. And I think I didn't watch this one, but I think this one, episode 70, also gets into it a little bit because she brings up the whole Janet Jackson thing, which I already mentioned. So if you're interested in that, just know that that is available. I'll link to all this on my Substack post that I put out on Tuesday, so make sure you're on the list. Or, of course, you can just go to Rumble and look up Candace Show Podcast and find it there. So, yeah, I think she's doing really good work, and wow, how about that? That is very interesting, and I do think that she's onto something for sure. It does appear that those ladies in those pictures may very well have been the help, and she's claiming to be related to them because they have the right color skin, and that's not a scandal. Imagine if Donald Trump tried that. Imagine what meltdown, the abject meltdown, the press would be in right now. Yeah, the real relative is Irish. Yep. Kathy says, yep. Wow, Candace is calling her out on everything. So glad to hear that someone is. Emily says, yeah. Welcome back, Emily. Yes. And then, it is true, but no, I've never heard it. Apparently, I've lived under a rock in some respects. Susan says, black don't crack is what she's referring to. Yeah, I've never heard that either. So I guess I was living under the same rock with Susan. So yes, I've never heard that before, but obviously that's the thing that is said out there by people of certain colors, and pretty funny though, actually. So I like how she can kind of laugh a little bit as to just the whole racial thing. It's just so ridiculous that we're worried about people's skin colors. All right. Speaking of which, has nothing to do with this guy. No, not at all. New York Mayor Eric Adams indicted on bribery charges amid immigration crisis, but he tweeted or posted on X that he was completely innocent and as clean and pure as the wind-driven snow. I mean, he might as well have said that. A grand jury indicted New York City Mayor Eric Adams on 5 criminal counts related to a federal corruption investigation this week. Officials alleged the Democrat politician solicited $100,000 worth of luxury travel from foreign business people, including a Turkish official who spent nearly 10 years trying to gain influence over the mayor. Adams is the first sitting mayor in New York's history to be charged while in office. He denied the charges against him and vowed to continue in his role as mayor, rebuking calls for his resignation. Over the past week, several members of Adams' cabinet had their homes raided by federal agents in recent weeks, while other key figures of his administration resigned. The timing of the case is raising eyebrows as Adams publicly spoke out against the border crisis and said that migrants are destroying New York City. New York City is a sanctuary city. A critic on X noted that while Democrat Eric Adams has taken some redemptive actions regarding mass immigration, he is going to let Adams fight it without his support, because people need to see how the Fed operates against one of their own. The purges begin. So how about that? It is very curious indeed. So yes, charges brought against the guy who's been playing ball with him. So what do you suppose they either have on him that they don't like, or maybe he's not playing ball to the degree that they want? Because you do not go against the cult. If you do, you're out. And you may even be dead, depending on how bad they really want to get rid of you. So yeah, very interesting, but of course it remains to be seen. But there's I think even some other people in his administration and then others in the New York City government that are also having some indictments brought up against him as well. So but anyway, he's the focal point at the moment though, so we will see what happens. I personally think that he's as corrupt as they come, and the things they got him on here are things that they all do. So it's so ridiculous to think that it's about $100,000 worth of luxury travel from foreign business people. Give me a break. Just ask Nancy Pelosi and all of the corrupt criminal Democrats in Washington. I mean, they all take bribes. They all do this stuff. So why go after him now? What's he not offering? What's he going against? He's not really going against the whole sanctuary city and migrants thing, if you ask me. He's still playing along. He just wanted more money than they were giving him. So I don't think that, though, would be the problem, because they just basically told him to go pound sand when he wanted more money. So, but he's still accepting all the migrants as they come in. Beats me. So maybe we'll find out. I don't know. Trump pushes U.S. intelligence narrative that Iran is trying to kill him as war looms. So this is one of those sort of boneheaded moves that he's been making, where he's begging for people to kill him, unfortunately. And I hope he doesn't get his wish, but this is the kind of ridiculousness that he is capable of at times for certain things. It says on Wednesday, Trump pushed a narrative being spread by U.S. intelligence officials that Iran is trying to kill him, even though there's no evidence of Iranian involvement in either of the attempts on his life. They probably just told Trump that, and of course he believes them, because he's very trusting, apparently. Even still, it's amazing. Trump's campaign said they were briefed by officials from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, which is led by Avril Haines. The claims about Iran come after Israel has dramatically escalated its bombing campaign in Lebanon, a situation that could potentially turn into a full-blown war between the U.S. and Iran. Iran has been restrained and shows no sign of being eager to go to war. Members of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps occasionally vow that they will take revenge for Trump's assassination of Iranian General Soleimani, who headed the IRGC's Quds force. But in response to recent allegations, Iran has said Trump should be punished for killing in a court of law. And says Republican Representative Matt Gaetz echoed the claim. Says Trump wrote on X, "Big threats on my life by Iran. The entire U.S. military is watching and waiting. Moves were already made by Iran that didn't work out, but they will try again. Not a good situation for anyone. I am surrounded by more men, guns, and weapons than I have ever seen before. Thank you to Congress for unanimously approving for more money to Secret Service. 0 no votes, strictly bipartisan. Nice to see Republicans and Democrats get together on something. Ha ha ha. An attack on a former president is a death wish for the attacker." Well, that's not the quote, but there is a quote of him saying if they kill him, to immediately go to war with Iran, which is exactly what this corrupt federal government wants to do, is to go to war with Iran. Just ask Lindsey Graham. He's never seen a war he doesn't love. He loves death and destruction. And there's so many people, it's not just him, there's so many people like him in charge of things. So for Trump to come out and say something that boneheaded and that dumb is somewhat surprising, although not really at times, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I don't think Iran's trying to kill him at all. I think that it's the deep state, and they want to blame Iran to take us to war with Iran, just like Russia and everyone else. They love their wars. Pentagon sending U.S. troops to the Middle East as Israel pounds Lebanon, escalating the war. Despite a 56% majority of Americans opposing the war, the Biden administration has already sent an estimated 40,000 U.S. troops to the Middle East and is sending even more to back up Israel's multi-front wars. Again, they love their wars. And just like the old, the quote says, I think it was Gerald Salente's famous quote, "When all else fails, they take you to war." Well, I think that they're not trying everything else. They are just taking us to war, if you ask me. Israel launched more than 300 missiles into Lebanon in its plan for de-escalation through escalation. How about that? Sounds like 1984. Dan Cohen, who just returned from Israel, said that it is following the same strategy as it did in Gaza, claiming to go after militants, but instead killing and harming civilians. But it's okay when they do it. I'm just adding that. He said Israel is using a strategy to target civilians and civilian infrastructure in order to turn civilians against Hezbollah and resistance groups, which will not work. Professor Norman Finkelstein said that Israel's war on Gaza has been won because up to a quarter of Gazan residents have left the territory and half of the structures have been destroyed. That's how he defines winning. He said that Israel will prevent cement from being imported into Gaza to rebuild it. And we looked at the Gaza rebuilding plan, said I think it was Gaza 2035, And they're not going to allow any Gazans to live there. It's only going to be Israelis. We looked at that last week. He said that the Israeli leadership considers the Hamas attack on October 7th as a godsend, quote unquote, because it allowed them to solve the Gaza problem. See that? The Gaza problem. But it also has allowed them to go after Hezbollah and Iran, which was the ultimate goal. He noted that both presidential candidates will remain silent on the wars because they rely on billionaire Jewish donors' money. Yes. So more of what we already know, right? As I mentioned before. So there is a couple embedded videos here too. Gaza is gone. So they are happy about Gaza being gone because then they can move in. So yeah, they're not trying to just move people out of there. Nope. They're trying to kill them all. And they might do the same thing in Lebanon. Wonder if they have a Lebanon 2035 plan as well. Do you think? I haven't seen it, but they might. Just a thought. But they love their war. Following arrest, Telegram CEO Pavel Durov agrees to provide user data to governments. Shocker, I know. So, yep, if you're on Telegram, just know your data is no longer safe. He's given it over. Telegram CEO Durov, who was arrested outside of Paris in late August, reportedly agreed to hand over IP addresses and phone numbers of those who use his encrypted messaging app to government authorities and make valid legal requests. Yeah, right. French allegations against Durov include that Telegram is used for child sexual abuse material and drug trafficking. So, just as a sidebar, it sounds to me like they wanted this information so that they could get in on the action, not stop it, if you know what I mean. They'll stop the people who are doing it and not cutting them in. The whole thing's the mafia. So it says, let's see, sexual abuse and for child sexual abuse material and drug trafficking, and that the platform refused to share information or documents with investigators when required by law. Durov said, "We've made it clear that the IP addresses and phone numbers of those who violate our rules can be disclosed to relevant authorities in response to valid legal requests." He framed it as a way to fight scams and illegal content, but in most European countries, expressing ideas the authorities deem as hateful is illegal. So there you go. So he's saying that he's only providing IP addresses and phone numbers of people who violate the rules. But guess what? It's not the rules that they have set forth on Telegram. It's the rules that the governments want to impose. So it can be absolutely anything. So look for Telegram to become heavily censored, just like YouTube and Facebook and all the other big ones. So that's bad news. But I guess he just wanted to stay out of jail. Although they'll just pick him up again if there's some other issue. And watch him cave. Technocracy.news, the top 3 articles on the homepage. Technocracy, Brave New World of 2030. Don't fear communism, socialism, or fascism. Technocracy will be a scourge by comparison. As I have been beating the drum about technocracy for over 15 years, others are starting to get it. Scientific dictatorship run by AI will destroy what it means to be human, making life and death decisions without any mercy. As the writer below notes, time is running out. So that is, I'm guessing, Patrick Wood's statement there from technocracy.news. That's the first article. The second one, OpenAI could grant Sam Altman 7% stake worth $10.5 billion in for-profit transition. Oh, Sam, you greedy megalomaniac. You turned your back on everything that could have benefited mankind in favor of your own personal aggrandizement. In the meantime, you have run off the great talent that could have ensured a safe, usable product. Your reckless pursuit of AGI and ASI will affect billions of people on planet Earth. Yeah, but he's got blue sneakers and billions of dollars, and that's all he cares about. Not you, not me. No, just him. So, yeah. AGI and ASI. So, yeah. Artificial General Intelligence is what that is, AGI. And then from linked over from revolver.news, getting back to the flood for just a minute. The devastation. It says biblical devastation in North Carolina towns flooded by Helene. Asheville. And here's a story here about what was going on. And then we can probably play this and leave it muted. I know you guys have most likely seen the houses floating by and the semi trucks and trailers floating by, and it's just unbelievable. So then it says 48-hour estimated rainfall for this area. I think it was like 29 inches or something like that. Drone video shows collapsed bridge and road in North Carolina. So, but Biden said he's on it. He's going to help him. I don't think I believe him. Or at least his version of help will be similar to the way he helped Maui, if you ask me. And then floods, mud, and landslides add to Helene's damage. So again, more devastation. We got video clips and still images here. These are both MSN articles. And then this one is not MSN. It's on a local Channel 12 news station. It says parts of North Carolina saw as much as 29.5 inches of rainfall. 29.5. That's pretty amazing. So that's about what we had in Nashville in the 2010 flood here. So yeah, we got flooded here where I am. So we had about, I think it was 25 inches, between 25 and 30 inches. So it was pretty close to this. So yeah, we have been there, done that, as they say. Not fun. Hurricane Helene storm surge in Florida. Tampa streets turned into rivers, and the kayaks were out. Yeah, there was a video clip on Twitter, at least, of a guy in his living room in his kayak, floating around, videoing it. It might be embedded here. I don't know. So, yeah, this is it right here, actually. So there he is in his house, in his kayak. He's kind of at that moment he was kind of joking about it because he's got his chlorine distributor pool floaty thing there with him, and he says that's okay. That's going to make it fine. So he was joking, of course, but he managed to keep his sense of humor at least at the moment. So people paddleboarding down the road and kayaking. So welcome to Tampa post-hurricane. So yeah, it seems like they have nonstop hurricanes anymore in the highly Republican area of Florida, the northern part. Wonder why that is. It's not like there's an election coming up or anything like that. I think, if I remember right, there was another hurricane that hit in a very similar place about 2 years ago when there was another election about this time of year. But feel free to fact check me on that, but that's just the way I'm remembering it. All right, let's see. Devastation pictures show beloved Gulf Island completely gone after Hurricane Helene roared through. This is talking about area in Florida known as Cedar Key, blasted by the power of the Category 4 hurricane as it hit the small island, which sits less than 10 feet above sea level in Levy County. I'm talking about this guy who decided to stay behind. It's amazing that he lived. But yeah, the devastation is just unbelievable. So again, this one's on Daily Mail. They usually have pretty good pictures on their articles. Some video as well. Not a whole lot standing. That remained almost nothing, I would say, that remained unaffected. But what a mess. So yeah. That one's on Daily Mail. And then let's see what else we have here. Okay. The next article I have pulled up is the wonderful border czar, Kamala Harris, is panned for wearing a reported $62,000 necklace to the southern border. Quote, "You look ridiculous." She's wearing a $62,000 necklace at the southern border. Maybe somebody should tell the illegals that and they'll just yank it off of her as they walk by. Border crisis has been an albatross around Kamala Harris's neck, and now her jewelry is too. The Democrat presidential nominee was snapped Friday at the southern border in Arizona trying to look tough on one of her major political weaknesses. Yeah, I think it's the first time she's even been to the border. But she's in charge. As she walked near a razor wire protected fence in the town of Douglas, chatting with an agent from Border Patrol, says Harris, who was wearing dark sunglasses and brown jacket over a black top and dark colored pants, and sporting what critics claim was a $62,000 necklace from Tiffany's. Dems decided to send Kamala Harris out in a $62,000 Tiffany necklace to reassure the middle class that she and the corpse we just saw wheeze through a debate have their best interests at heart. One detractor wrote on X. A detractor because they told the truth. $62,000 Tiffany necklace worn at the southern border. Trump's got the line of the decade here. Joe Biden became mentally impaired, but Kamala was born that way.
Kamala is mentally impaired. If a Republican did what she did, if a Republican did what she did, that Republican would be impeached and removed from office, and rightfully so, for high crimes and misdemeanors. That would be high crimes and misdemeanors. Think of it. 13,099 murderers, convicted of murder, not like convicted of murder. Some of the worst murders you've ever seen. They're all in our country now, every one of them. And I've been saying this for 3 years, and the fake news has been saying, well, you don't know that. Well, now we know it. They've never released a list like this. Not just on this, they've never done it. Over the years, they've never done it. She let in, and that's not even mentioning the rapists, the gang members, the drug dealers, the child predators, and the traffickers in women. Mostly women. Joe Biden became mentally impaired. Kamala was born that way.
Okay. Yep, classic stuff. Too funny. Just wanted to share that with you guys. Thought that was a good one. Hillary says she didn't go far enough in describing Trump supporters as deplorables. This is on modernity.news. Two-time failed presidential loser Hillary has said that she wishes she'd been even more derogatory toward Trump supporters in 2016. Clinton has stated that her basket of deplorables comment was too kind. So there you go, the evil witch. The wicked witch of the West. Or the East. Writing in the legacy propaganda outlet, The Washington Post, Hillary noted in 2016, I famously described half of Trump supporters as the basket of deplorables. I was talking about the people who are drawn to his racism, sexism, homophobia, xenophobia, Islamophobia, you name it. The people for whom his bigotry is a feature, not a bug. Every word's a lie there. Hillary admitted that the comment was political suicide, but she says she still wishes she'd gone further. Yeah, well, now she has nothing to lose, apparently. It was an unfortunate choice of words in bad politics, but it also got an important truth. Just look at everything that's happened in the years since, from Charlottesville to Jan 6th, she writes. Yes, again, more lies. But that's all they have is lies. So yeah, the masks have come off. Yep, Hillary's mask. She looks like she has a mask. I mean, but it's so hideous. Anyway, I thought that was pretty wild. And then I found this tweet as well. I probably won't play it just for sake of time, but it's interesting. It's Tulsi Gabbard reveals that when she opposed Barack Obama's request to start bombing more countries in the Middle East, the White House immediately called to threaten her. She says, I announced that I would be opposing Obama's request to go and start another war. And in less than 24 hours, I got a call from the White House. How dare you stand against your president? How dare you stand against, as a freshman Democrat, your president, who is from your home state of Hawaii? They didn't care about the substance. Now you see why the DOJ is going after Eric Adams. Democrats panic every time someone in their circle breaks rank. I'm not convinced old Eric Adams has done that, but Tulsi Gabbard certainly has. And more power to her. I think she's doing a good job. Meet the newcomers, 13,000, it's actually more than that, 13,000 illegal alien murderers, literal convicted murderers, free to roam the streets of the U.S. since Harris has been in office. But she's our wonderful border czar and doing such a great job, even though she's only been there one time, and was wearing a $62,000 Tiffany necklace when she did. So since Harris has been in office, plus, don't forget, 25,000 rapists, too. And that's convicted people, not just accused. Says, we all knew it was bad, folks. It's much worse than we even realize. So I don't know where these numbers come from. My guess is if they're official numbers, it's probably twice what they actually say here. The country is collapsing under the weight of the Harris-Biden border invasion, and the sickening revelation comes from new data from the U.S. Customs and ICE. So there you go. It shows more than 650,000 migrants with criminal records were released into the United States between mid-May 23 and the end of July 24. So just. And let's be clear, these aren't just jaywalkers, folks. While the Biden-Harris regime is busy pretending there's nothing to see here, dangerous and deadly criminals are being dropped all over the country like confetti at a parade. So this Representative Tony Gonzalez posted on Twitter, as of July 21st this year, there were 662,566 non-citizens with criminal histories on ICE's national docket. 13,099 criminally convicted murderers. So murder and all of the major crimes across the world are now down because all those people are here now. And keep in mind that these are ICE's official numbers, and they only catch, what was it, just one in so many people? So you can figure it's probably 2 to 3 times higher than this. Just a guess, a safe guess. So this is the letter here, where it's outlining the numbers. 662,000 non-citizens with criminal histories, 13,100 literal murderers. They just open up the prisons and say, don't come back, go to the U.S., and, you're free to go. That's literally what they did, at least in some countries, especially in South America. So, yeah, we're just importing them all. Top doctor issues warnings to millions of people to avoid tap water because of links to horrifying long-term health problems. Yeah, it's called fluoride. So again, the fluoride stories are being talked about here. I guess that's good, but we've all known about fluoride for years. However, some people are just learning about it, I guess. Top doctor has urged pregnant and breastfeeding women to avoid drinking tap water that contains fluoride. Who would be doing that at this point? You drink bottled water, you're going to get microplastics. You drink tap water, you're going to get fluoride. Sometimes when you drink, depending on the bottled water, you're getting not only the microplastics, but also the fluoride because it's tap water in some bottled water. I won't name names just because I'm not 100% sure, but I know that there's some bottled water companies who are literally bottling tap water. So, lovely, isn't it? So if you're not filtering your water, I would filter even your bottled water if I were you. You definitely need to be. And I don't sell water filters. I'm just saying get yourself a gravity-fed water filter. They're relatively cheap and they're well worth it. I've got 2 or 3 of them here. I've got 2 actually in use and a third one that's a backup. Because to me it's a very important thing. And also if you're not filtering your shower water when you take a hot shower, you should be. Again, those filters are pretty cheap as well, and it's worth it. So you're not bathing in hot fluoride. Not fun. And whatever other chemicals there are, too. So, yeah, PFAS chemicals and everything else. So, anyway, this is an article about how terrible fluoride is, which we already know, but I'm glad they're putting it out there. Daily Mail's probably just now hearing about it. Fluoride in the water linked to anxiety, temper problems, and headaches in children as young as 3, with experts claiming exposure, high levels, in pregnancy could be a, quote, risk to the developing brain. You think? Which is the whole purpose of them putting it in there. So, yeah, be filtering your water. If you take nothing else away from this broadcast tonight, go get a water filter. And you can't buy it from me because I don't sell them. So you have to buy it from somebody else. All right. So let's see. ReclaimTheNet.org, John Kerry versus the First Amendment. And I've got the full clip actually in the final video tonight before we leave. So definitely make sure you guys hang out long enough to see that, which we're not there yet. So definitely don't leave yet. But yeah, John Kerry versus the First Amendment. These people are uncloaking themselves. Let's just say it that way. House committee pushes for FBI testimony on suppressed Hunter Biden laptop story. Yeah, don't hold your breath on that one. And then newly released documents reveal big tech limited millions of posts during the EU elections. Yep, they're doing that everywhere, though. Musk's X is set to reboot in Brazil after final fine payment. I'd be surprised if they allow that, but maybe they will. Apple bans Trump-themed game and blocks iPhone release. So there you go. You can't even have a Trump game on your phone because it's too racist, probably. New Jersey misinformation crackdown targets doctors who won't toe the line. Big tech government collusion. Biden-Harris administration, Meta, Google, and others launch AI partnership to combat disinformation and hate speech. So I think they've already had AI employed on these platforms for some time. Now, they might be ramping it up, but that's why, with all of the billions of videos going up on YouTube every week, that's why they're able to pull them down so quickly. They've got AI scanning all of them. They have for a long time. Court orders Google to uninstall a side-loaded pirate IPTV app from all Android devices with an Argentinian IP address. Weird. Facebook built a VIP censorship pipeline for the White House. A VIP censorship pipeline. Biden-Harris DOJ urges the Supreme Court to pave the way for increased online age verification digital ID laws. So you have to have an ID to get online, but not to vote. It's important to notate. Little factoid. So those are the headlines on ReclaimTheNet.org. The LibertyBeacon.com, I didn't really pull up any links from there, but we'll just look at some of the headlines. Walls is a complete disaster in Minnesota. The folksy guy is an act. Zelensky visibly agitated. Trump dominates meeting at Trump Tower. Yeah, I've got a clip of that we'll show in just a little bit. Lockdowns codified a world of violence. Pfizer is being sued in Europe and the U.S. Good luck with that one. Joe Rogan warns censorship will get much worse if Kamala wins. Yeah. I don't have any doubt that that will be the case. If she wins, look for Rumble and Twitter/X to be shut down. That's just my opinion, but I do think that they will be the first two that get shut down. And it's hard to say. This little broadcast that you are listening to tonight probably won't be allowed either. So, anyway, and then RT.com. Let's see. Trump will support Ukraine, Zelensky thinks, which I'm not sure I buy that one, but he has said multiple times that he will attempt to shut down the war as quick as possible, which is part of the reason they're trying to kill him so much. Free speech makes the U.S. hard to govern, John Kerry said. Yeah. That's what he says. That's what he thinks. Again, they're uncloaking themselves. U.S. is a hostage state to Israel. Yes. I would say a willing hostage because all of the politicians are bought and paid for and owned by Israel and AIPAC, as many of you guys already know. Major sponsor dumps increasingly political Olympics. And they've got the Toyota logo picture there, so that's interesting. All right, let's see. And then the SIFT from WNG.org, more than 50 dead amid Hurricane Helene devastation. I think it's more than 60 was the last number I heard. North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. Info there on WNG.org. Evacuation order lifted after Ohio chemical spill. So yet another train wreck. A literal train wreck. Residents of a southwest Ohio suburb returned to their homes Wednesday night after their air tests came back clean of a toxin. So they were told. Released into the area on Tuesday. So this was last week. Authorities discovered a railcar valve spraying styrene, a toxic chemical used in making plastic and rubber, into the air. Testing by both the Central Railroad of Indiana and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency detected no styrene in the air around the incident site. Because they're flooding it with water, I guess. That's why. So another chemical spill. That was a few days ago now in Ohio. I hadn't heard about that. I didn't know if you guys knew about that one. Yep. Seems to be a weekly thing, or almost. Now we've got a huge biolab that went up in flames in Georgia today as well, which we'll get to that. Minneapolis begins swearing in illegal aliens as police officers. Democrats in Minneapolis have ordered police departments to begin hiring illegal aliens as police officers as part of the radical new diversity scheme. Yeah, we wouldn't want to hurt their feelings. And they're already doing that. They've already been doing that in Illinois as well. FDA warns carcinogenic chemicals in food packaging are leaking into the human body. You know, as I mentioned earlier, that's microplastics and PFAS chemicals and all that stuff. Boris Johnson doesn't think the medieval lockdowns worked. And why is he talking about that now? Russia says U.S. knew about Israel's plan to target pagers in Lebanon. Of course they did. Of course they did. And I'm thinking that they weren't too happy about it because now, for the people who were paying attention, they realize that their phones could be blown up by a government that doesn't like you just as easily as the Hezbollah pagers were blown up over in Lebanon by the Israelis. Investigators, McDonald's food tainted with remains of dead children. First they smuggled horse meat into the meat supply, then came the mysterious pink slime. Now we have evidence of human meat in the food supply. Probably the aborted babies is my guess. Fetal cells and so on and so forth. Little boy lover, FBI pedophile symbols exposed on Diddy's LA mansion gates. It says Diddy's LA mansion gates have been exposed, featuring one of the FBI recognized pedophile symbols used in to signal sexual interest in young boys. So he's got that, I guess that's this swirly thing on his gate to his LA mansion. So that tells people who know those sorts of things exactly what he's all about and what he really loves. Boys, young boys. First U.S. towns halt water fluoridation following judges' ruling on risks to children's health. So again with the fluoridation. I'm glad it's coming out, but why now? Harris Walz campaign exposed for using paid actors as former Trump voters, quote unquote, in misleading ad. Harris Walz campaign's facing backlash. Oh, there's never any backlash because the media just doesn't care. They're all in the same team. After being exposed for using two paid actors to pose as former Pennsylvania farmers and Trump voters who had supposedly switched their support to Kamala. Yeah. Anyways, so those are on the People's Voice. And then Information and Liberation top headlines. Jared Kushner praises the assassination of Nasrallah. Says the U.S. must support ground invasion of Lebanon. No, we must not. We must not. But Jared Kushner is all about it. He wants his war too. The son-in-law of Trump, who led Middle East policy under his administration, praised the Jewish state on Saturday for assassinating Nasrallah and insisted the U.S. must support the peace-seeking nation of Israel, launching a ground invasion of Lebanon to finish the job. They like that little colloquialism, don't they? Finish the job. We have to finish the job. That means wipe out everyone who's not Jewish / Zionist / Israeli / people over there in the nation state of Israel. Blinken's State Department evacuated Israeli Americans on charter flights after October 7th, but tells Lebanese Americans, you're on your own. Hezbollah confirms Nasrallah assassinated by Israeli airstrike in Beirut, which we mentioned that at the beginning of the show. Israel drops massive bombs on Beirut in an attempt to assassinate Nasrallah. Well, they knew where he was, I guess. So he is no more. Tablet magazine worries charges against Eric Adams could be used against the Israel lobby. Oh no, that would be terrible. Revealed, Mike Johnson and Hakeem Jeffries made private agreement not to disparage one another. Because, again, they both work for Israel. Pretty much everyone in Congress does. So, more headlines over here on informationliberation.com. Now, this is a video I came across earlier. It says, I'm not so sure about this. Did Jesus authorize you to call him Yeshua? Answer, no. So this is for, this is not really anything that's come up in my life recently, but I do find it interesting because you do have the people out there, and there may be some of you in chat here. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying this is food for thought. This is a video that was just published recently that I thought was pretty interesting, and it's talking about calling Jesus Jesus or calling Jesus Yeshua, and how this person who made this video has what they're explaining as the term Yeshua is actually derogatory and a negative. So I'll leave it up to you guys to watch this video if you're interested. I thought it was, pretty good information. And there's quite a bit of history here in it. So I think it's worth a watch. It's not particularly long, especially if you're wondering why so many people are using the term Yeshua and kind of where it came from and so forth. So I personally will continue using the name Jesus because that's how it's referred to. That's how he is referred to in the Bible, and I personally think that makes the most sense. And one thing they bring up in here is that it's Jesus's name that sends the entities fleeing, and that using the term Yeshua doesn't work as well. So I think that's kind of interesting. They also go into this whole idea of Megatron, which is another offshoot, another takeoff of Yeshua and Metatron, I guess. Metatron. And again, not correct. So I would leave that up to you guys if you want to investigate it. I'll link to this in the Substack post, but you guys can find the video if you want to do a search for it. You're welcome to. It's called "Did Jesus Authorize You to Call Him Yeshua?" Answer, no. But a fairly small channel, but the video is good information, I thought. So yeah, very interesting. It's just a link I came across, actually linked off of Daily Crow that I found earlier today. Thought it was kind of interesting. All right, so let's see. UN just adopted the Pact for the Future, which lays the foundation for a new global order, something we've been talking about the last few weeks on this broadcast. So we do have some more information on that. This particular article is on the mostimportantnews.com website. While everyone was distracted, the global elite got exactly what they wanted, the UN adopted the Pact for the Future on September 22nd, and the mainstream media in the West almost entirely ignored what was happening. Instead, the headlines urge us to just keep focusing on Harris and Trump. Sadly, the vast majority of the population has never even heard about the Pact for the Future, and so there was very little public debate about whether or not we should be adopting a document which lays the foundation for a new global order. The text of the Pact for the Future is available online, but hardly anyone will ever read it, and many of the most important provisions are buried toward the end of the 56-page document. Of course, everyone should take the time to actually read this document because our leaders just committed us to an extremely insidious global agenda that literally covers just about every conceivable area of human activity. September 22nd, 2024 is a day that will go down in infamy. Again, I come back to 22s and 11s. They love it. They love it. So those dates are always key for some reason. 22nds and 11s. Once the Pact for the Future was formally adopted, the following was posted on the official UN website. World leaders today adopted a Pact for the Future that includes a global digital compact and a declaration on future generations, meaning we're all going to be enslaved, not only us though, all future generations. This pact is the culmination of an exclusive, years-long process to adapt international cooperation to the realities of today and the challenges of tomorrow, the most wide-ranging international agreement in many years covering entirely new areas, as well as issues on which agreement has not been possible in decades. The pact aims, above all, to ensure that international institutions, I would say unelected idiots at the top, can deliver in the face of a world that has changed dramatically since they were created. As the Secretary General has said, we cannot create a future fit for our grandchildren with a system built by our grandparents. Why not? Why not? At least not and have them all stay in power, I guess. So, you would think that the most wide-ranging international agreement in many years would make headlines all over the planet, but that didn't happen. The UN press release also boldly declares that the Pact for the Future will lay the foundations for a new global order. So this is literally them forming a one-world government and giving themselves the power to implement every aspect of it. Important message from Dr. Tenpenny, United Nations Pact of the Future.
Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, and I want to do a quick update about a document that got passed by the United Nations this weekend called the Pact of the Future document. It's two parts, one on science and technology and one about the youth and future generations. It is quite egregious, and it was done by a procedure called the silence procedure, which makes it a pact. And if no one objected, it is automatically adopted and put into the record as being completely adopted. This is the World Health Organization's runaround, or end around. Since they were not able to get the World Health Organization treaty passed, they decided to take it to the General Assembly. And it is even more egregious than what the World Health Organization was wanting to get passed. Let me just read you something really quickly about what is inside of this pact that is now being accepted by 193 nations around the world and equally open-armed accepted by our current administration. Everyone, it says that this is the power structure, fully digital and maximized for the control of the masses. Everyone will be expected to have a biometric digital ID that marks them not just as citizens of an individual country, but as a global citizen. So anytime you hear global citizen or anytime you hear sustainability, think that this is an egregious thing that's happening at the level of the World Health Organization and the United Nations. Anyone that has a dissonant opinion will be labeled as misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation and memory hold. Perpetrators for unapproved information will be fact-checked and punished by the system, which will be operated and enforced by artificial intelligence. Punishments will include being locked out of one's bank account, being unable to make certain purchases, unable to get on an airplane, on a subway, drive on public roads. This is the future, according to the world's self-appointed overlords at the United Nations. These are unelected bureaucrats that are making decisions about our country, our sovereignty around the world. Nothing could be more important at this point in time than to get prepared, have water, food, digital access, flashlights, a way to communicate with family and friends. Now is really the time to get involved and get prepared, because this is what's coming. Our Congress is sitting on its hands. There was a press conference on the 17th about this, and no further action has been taken. So it's up to us to mobilize and to go forward, particularly with your local sheriffs, to get your constitutional sheriffs to say, this isn't going to be allowed in my county. Thank you very much. Take action. We've been talking about the onset of one world order, one world government, one world religion, one world money for a long time. Well, it's no longer coming. It's here.
That it is. And I would take it just one step further here and say that it is King Charles who is at the titular head of all of this. Do I have any proof? No, it's just a hunch. But think about how much he's respected and revered at the UN. Give me a break. So, is the Antichrist nearly enthroned? Well, this is his entire system being handed to him. And notice she said that everyone will be marked digitally. And if you've already taken the SkyVVC, you already are. You've got the nanotech in you already, unless you got a placebo that didn't happen to have nanotech in it, which I find that almost impossible to believe at this point. However, this is the end time system. I have no doubt. Now, Susan's asking, what is the silent procedure? Kathy says, it means we're screwed. Yeah, I think that's it. Yep, no, the silent procedure is if you don't object, it passes. So it would be like a rapist telling his victim, if you don't scream, then you're giving consent. If you don't say no, you're giving consent. So that's what it is. I mean, this is the end run, as she's talking about. This is the system that the Antichrist will use to implement the literal Book of Revelation end times events that we're going to see here. It's all unfolding right in front of us, and this is part of it. So, not good. This is on Exposing the Darkness on Substack. Says the second beast forces all the people, important and unimportant, rich and poor, free and slaves, to be marked on their right hands or their foreheads. I would say some translations say in, not on, so that no one may buy or sell unless he has the mark, which is the beast's name or the number of its name. Revelation 13. So we are seeing Revelation 13 now unfolding. Now it's a question of how fast will they implement it, because they have given themselves the power to do this. So I thought this one was kind of interesting. There's no video, but the headline kind of says it all. It says, India, a troop, I think that's a group of monkeys, a troop of heroic monkeys stop a man from raping a 6-year-old girl. How about that? It says a troop of monkeys in India attacked a man who was attempting to rape a little girl, stopping the assault in its tracks. According to a report from the Times of India, the man was seen on CCTV leading a child who is only 6 years old down a lane in Bagpat near New Delhi over the weekend. The suspect then proceeded to pull her into an abandoned house where he undressed her and began to sexually assault her. It says, fortunately, a troop of local monkeys put a stop to the rape after seemingly witnessing what was happening. Monkeys. It was in what had been perceived as a heroic effort to protect the child, a pack of primates rushed towards the rapist all at once, scaring him off and letting the little girl escape unharmed. The child recounted the story of the monkeys when she returned home to her family, revealing how they had saved her life. That is crazy. Anyway. So, but Kamala Harris is letting all kinds of, 25,000 rapists come in. Where are the teams of monkeys when you need one? I guess we're going to have to hire monkeys to protect all of the people in America now. So that is a really crazy story. I just wanted to pass that along. Pro-Putin TV channel, I thought that's kind of funny, simulates devastating nuclear strike on London in video showing the city being wiped out in a fireball that would instantly vaporize hundreds of thousands. Yeah, it's kind of, I would say, a typical Russian type of video. You may have seen them here and there. They're very matter-of-fact, and it's almost ridiculously simplistic how it's explained. So let's take a look.
Imagine for a moment that the unimaginable happens. A nuclear weapon explodes over London. In this documentary, we explore the devastating consequences of this catastrophe. In the simulation, we will use a warhead with a yield of 750 kilotons. That's a pretty powerful charge. Some US and Russian ballistic missiles are capable of carrying up to 10 charges in a single missile. Upon detonation, a fireball as hot as the sun rapidly expands, reaching a radius of 950 meters. Anything trapped inside this fireball is instantly vaporized. In our simulation, the epicenter of the explosion is at Westminster. People within that radius won't even feel anything because the nerve impulse transmission speed is slower. Within 5 kilometers of the epicenter, the blast radius. City of London, Camden Town, Kensington, Brixton. These areas will receive the most destruction. Buildings will be destroyed and debris will fill the streets, creating extremely dangerous conditions for everyone in the vicinity. Given the population density in central London, the initial death toll could exceed 250,000 people and around 600,000 injured. Within a radius of 10 kilometers, the radiation will cause third-degree burns. Within that radius, anything that can burn will catch fire. Gas stations, automobiles, power substations, gas infrastructure. Explosive facilities will explode and amplify the effect of the devastation over a huge area, including areas from Camden to Greenwich and Islington to Wandsworth. According to various estimates, a further 450,000 people will die from burns, debris injuries, or radiation sickness, and over 1 million will be traumatized. Many of these injuries could prove fatal over the next days and weeks. Radiation sickness in particular will take lives days and weeks later. In time, about 100,000 more will be added to the death toll. Within an 18-kilometer radius of the blast, the shock wave will be enough to shatter windows, causing additional casualties to people who come to the windows when they see the nuclear blast. The shock wave will reach Hounslow, Edgware, and Enfield. Depending on the wind, the fallout could spread well beyond the immediate blast zone, potentially affecting areas up to 5 to 10 kilometers away, causing damage even in regions such as Essex or Surrey. The estimated casualties in the event of a 750 kiloton nuclear bomb exploding in London would be about 850,000 people dead and about 2 million injured. If the explosion were to occur on the ground rather than in the air, the fallout map would be greatly expanded, and the radioactive fallout could even reach Manchester, infecting people, land, and animals. The problem with a nuclear explosion in London is also that London is essentially not designed to survive such a disaster. 11 of London's 20 major hospitals would be within the blast. The remaining hospitals would be physically unable to cope with the number of victims. Many people are still alive under the rubble of the buildings, suffering burns, but no one will be able to help them. Since the creation of nuclear weapons less than 100 years ago, there have been more than 20 incidents where a nuclear-armed country was one step away from a nuclear catastrophe. You can easily find these statistics on Wikipedia. I will attach a link to this article in the description of the video. I want to call everyone to action. Nuclear weapons are a real threat to our future. Give this video a like and share it so that as many people as possible can learn about its consequences. Together, we can make a difference in the world and prevent a nuclear catastrophe.
Yeah, let's hope so, but man, how about that? That is very matter of fact. Interesting at the end there how it's all reversing, like it doesn't need to happen. We all know it doesn't need to happen, and yet our so-called leaders are all pushing for it to happen, whether it's London or somewhere else. I noticed they did not mention how long it was going to take to hit Buckingham Palace. That was kind of interesting. But, yeah, not good. Man. Says it would cause 850,000 deaths with 2 million injured. I think those are most likely low numbers. I don't know about what you guys think about it, but yeah, I mean, who knows? Who knows? But let's hope nothing like this ever happens. But we do know that, was it the book of Zechariah, talks about the flying scrolls. So, I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. But it seems to me like something like this could very well happen. But all we can do is pray against it and hope that it doesn't. But yeah, Russia's doing what they can to stop this from ever getting to this point. But, they know the West is pushing them and may force their hand. So, part of me thinks that nukes are simply a fear tactic. I don't think the Antichrist wants all the infrastructure destroyed by nukes. Too much money put into building it out. Yeah, I agree. But that doesn't mean that it won't happen at least one time or perhaps a back and forth somewhere. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. That, our insane people at the top of the American empire will probably start it. And whether it's nuclear or not, it could be that the retaliation for whatever it is that the American empire starts, and I've mentioned before, I personally think it'll either be St. Petersburg or Moscow. Whether it's nuclear or not, I don't know, but I think the response would have to be nuclear just to prevent it from happening anymore. So I don't know. I'm not real sure if you're looking at global thermonuclear war or perhaps what's called a nuclear exchange, where you'd have one, perhaps two go off. And when and if that happens, that will forever change all of our lives instantly. Provided we're the ones that live through it, which we don't know. I mean, we have insane people at the top who are perfectly happy killing all of us so that they can survive. All right, Macron calls for New World Order. Europe cannot be limited by the EU and NATO if the continent is to be peaceful, the French president said. Yeah, that's what he thinks. Macron called for a reform of the current unjust world order so that humans can coexist more peacefully, meaning once we bomb Russia back to the Stone Age. That's what he means. He outlined his vision on Sunday as part of the International Imagining Peace gathering in Paris. But that's like the last thing that this guy wants. We all know this. He says, we must be imaginative enough to think about the peace of tomorrow, a peace in Europe in a new form. I think he means peace post-nuclear exchange. Don't you? Because they are sure pushing us as hard and fast as possible for that to happen. All right. So this is something, I mentioned St. Petersburg and Moscow. We're going to get to that in just a minute. This is a video that I came across friend of mine sent it to me, but then I also found it linked to from Daily Crow, which is a website that I frequent as well. This is, many of you guys know who this guy is. On the right here is Jamie Walden. And I've got a clip I want to play of this because it's an important one, because they are confirming, Jamie's confirming something that I have been saying over and over again for a long time. And note that the timestamp where he's talking about this is at the 21 minutes exactly mark, which to me means 777, which means to me I need to pay attention to it. Now, the other guy over here, right above my head, this guy, is a friend of mine, Doug Thornton. Many of you guys probably know who he is. He's a great guy, and I do know him actually personally, and traveled with him one time in the small group, I would say, the small group of folks who got to go to Peru back in 2017. Steve Quayle, Tim Albarino, and company. And Doug Thornton was on that trip. That's where I met him. So he and I are friends. I actually helped him put together his original American Vindicta show website. I think it's still around, although I'm kind of out of the loop on the website and helping him at this point. But he's doing pretty well. He's doing the Common Sense show with Dave Hodges, as well as his own show, American Vindicta. And this was just an interview / Zoom meeting that he and Jamie had together. So I wanted to play this clip for you because Jamie kind of backs up and talks about some of the stuff that I have talked about. And when I play this, I'm going to show you guys, if I can remember where I'm at here, I'm gonna go back and forth here a little bit between the tab that we're on here and this. And this is my Post-it Notes tab. We're going to be talking about these first two columns of the things that I have been speaking about over the last, I don't know, year and a half or more since I put this paper together here. So this is what I'm calling the end times events timeline, not based on a date or a certain date or time, but in fact it's based on events happening. So anyways, let's take a look at what Jamie and Doug have to say, and I will kind of try and outline this as they're talking. So you'll be hearing them, but you're going to be seeing my other screen as well. So here is Jamie and Doug.
Here's what I think is going to happen. Just plain and simple. World War III, global economic collapse, coinciding, they all overlay, right? They're not consecutive. They overlay. They overlap like a Venn diagram, right? World War III and a global economic collapse into a global technological collapse into a complete reset and a fear of our current operating systems throughout the face of the earth for a rollout of what will be obviously the World Economic Forum wet dream of a great reset with a central bank digital currency and no longer the use of devices like these, but implantable, subdermal, self-injectable, non-invasive, analase-based power units within your skin, all at the same time, and all of it could be accomplished in a matter of 3 to 6 months. That's what I think is going on.
How about that? He pretty much described exactly what I have on my end times events timeline. Jamie did. So, yeah, this is a video called Must Listen, Things Are Moving Fast. And it is actually very interesting. He makes they both make some other really good points here. That I think we all really need to hear. And they do talk about the exploding pagers and the potential for having exploding phones and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm going to try and link to this in the Substack post. Remember to do that. But you guys can definitely go and find this ahead of time if you want to. But I do think it's certainly worth a watch. But I heard Jamie mentioning those things and thought, man, he's describing exactly what I have on this end times events timeline in the same order. And I put this together about a year and a half ago, maybe just over a year and a half ago. So I wanted to have a way of moving these little post-it note things around, but I haven't really, ever since I put this together, I'm still thinking this is more or less the way things are going to unfold little by little. So again, it's based on things happening in certain order, not necessarily at a certain day and time. So anyways, interesting to have confirmation from Mr. Walden there. Now, this is the other website that he mentioned in this broadcast, and this is something I had never heard of. But I do think it's worth a look. And the name of the website is Equilibrio. Equilibrio, it's hard to say. Equilibrio. And it's almost hard to spell as well. It's EQUILIBR and then .io. So the end is not .com, it's .io. So here's what it is. This is something Jamie is talking about on here. Sounds to me like nanotech, which is basically, could be some of the same structures that have been injected with the book. So let's look at this website. I haven't really looked at it too much. All I did was pull it up. But let's take a look at what they're talking about here. See if anything rings a bell for you like it did for me. Perhaps Revelation 13. Perhaps the mark of the beast system being injected into people. Real-time health. Transforming how we diagnose, treat, and manage disease. Everything's always couched in some, benevolent thing. Manage disease with a breakthrough multi-analyte biosensor and scalable AI. So I'm just scrolling down the page here a little bit. Small, simple, self-implantable, so you can do it yourself. Continuous. They're showing a penny here because of the size of it. See how there it is right there in the middle of Lincoln on the penny. So again, this is what it looks like. This is it. This is what we're talking about here. Small, simple, self-implantable, and continuous, and it fits right there on a penny. Delivering health data directly to people without getting in the way of everyday life. Sounds nice and convenient, doesn't it? Like a live personal dashboard that lets you see what's happening in your body. Tiny, 200 plus sensors fit on a penny, which is what Jamie mentioned. 200 of them. So you can see how tiny it is. You could probably swallow it if you wanted to. It says simple, easily self-implantable, continuous health monitoring at all times without appointments, Subdermal Biosensor. So you can see how it's under the skin. What was it? Yuval Homo Harari has been saying, we're going to monitor you under the skin. That's Subdermal Biosensor. Breakthrough multi-analyte sensor technology after 10 plus years of R&D at Caltech and the Helmholtz Institute. Equilibrio is integrating CMOS, MEMS, and electrochemical transducer technologies to build the world's first multi-analyte implanted biosensor. Our technology is now in animal studies with a clear path to human trials. So again, there it is right there. Multimodal sensing, continuous health monitoring enables world-class care in real time, combining electrochemical, electrophysiological, and optical sensing to provide a holistic picture of a person's health. So they're going to give you a total picture of what your body's doing with that little tiny implantable chip. Integrated AI platform, multiplex, multimodal data powers AI algorithms to deliver vital information to care providers. How's it going to do that? Wirelessly, of course. How else? Continuous personalized care. Equilibrio allows the medical system to monitor people wherever they are, without a dependence on brick-and-mortar settings and face-to-face meetings. See, they're showing it broadcasting here, it looks like. With myriad potential use cases for patients and healthy people alike, we have the opportunity to reshape healthcare and improve outcomes for millions. So again, they only show you the benevolent side of things. Talking about diabetes and patients with they're trying to avoid side effects, maintain weight loss, all these different things. Elite athletes and military units can measure lactate in real time to optimize training and performance. So all these great and wonderful things. And then meet Equilibrio. These are the leadership folks. There's also scientific co-founders, advisors, technical team, and investors. We'll look at the investors in just a second. I've never looked at this before, by the way. You're seeing it first time that I'm seeing it. And, man, it is not looking too good. But, yeah, this is interesting tech, huh? Who's the investors? I thought sure BlackRock would be on there, but no, they're not listed. But who knows? Could be associated with one of these, I don't know. DCVC and Free Flow Ventures. This is the technical team. This is the advisors. The scientific co-founders. No names that I recognize, which I'm sort of surprised. I thought I would, actually, but nothing there that I recognize. But anyway, Equilibrio. So that's what they have on their website. Let's see what it says on the contact here. I guess it's just a form. So, yeah, my guess is they're probably in Silicon Valley, perhaps. I don't know. So there it is. That's what it looks like. So it's literally a chip. And I wonder where you put it. It says you can self-implant it. How do people not see this as anything but terrifying? I know. You would think that these people would realize they're helping build the Mark of the Beast system and everything is going to entail. So this little chip, we've already established that it can communicate outside of your body. So that tells me that could have some sort of connection to your monetary system as well. Can cut off the ability to buy or sell, right? Of course it's terrifying. But that is the end times system. That is the biblical Antichrist system we're all witnessing. And we know to look for it because we understand that we are in that part of time, that little sliver of time known as the end times. But the people who are building this out have no idea. They're compartmentalized into, oh, it's going to make me rich or whatever. They literally think they're helping people. But no, it's going to enslave the entire world. If it's not this, then something. So how does this work with the nanotech that's been injected in the sneeze guy? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm just asking the question. It surely must. Anyways, all right. So this is the UN. I pulled up some of the articles, but this is all just their literal verbiage on how wonderful and great the one world government's going to be. So I'm not going to bother reading that out loud. However, I did come across this really good interview where my friend Alex Newman was on with Greg Hunter. And Alex has been a guest on Lost Arts Radio several times. And so I've gotten to know him a little bit, talked to him a few times that way, and have communicated with him outside of the show as well. He's a great guy. He's doing some incredible work. And he has really kind of explained exactly what's going on. And we kind of saw that already with Dr. Tenpenny's video. But he is backing up what she's saying in his interview here with Greg Hunter. So I would highly recommend watching this, usawatchdog.com. You guys can find it. It's pretty front and center there as well. Here's the article that he's referring to in that particular interview. The new UN Pact for the Future turbocharges globalism. So this is his article on thenewamerican.com, which is his website that the company he works for. United Nations governments and dictators from around the world gathered in New York and adopted a sprawling agreement to expand and further empower the United Nations. The controversial declaration approved by the UN General Assembly again, just by silently not voting means that it's all implemented. The UN General Assembly, known as the Pact for the Future, is seen by the UN and its member governments as a giant leap forward for the cause of globalism. In short, the UN is becoming UN 2.0. As top leaders of the organization put it, however, in the U.S., the least lawmakers, governors, and grassroots leaders are growing increasingly restless about what they perceive as a historic power grab, putting many attendees at the UN summit on edge as Trump prepares for a possible return to the White House. Yeah, right, if he can live long enough. UN General Assembly President of Cameroon claimed the UN deal would lay the foundations for a sustainable, they love that word, just and peaceful global order for all peoples and nations. Other leaders of the organization echoed the sentiment. Yeah, because they're the rulers at the top, and they're the ones who get to have all the freedoms and have to answer to no one. And the rest of us, the little side note that they don't bother to tell you is that we all get enslaved. We will all be enslaved. According to UN Secretary General Guterres, former leader of the world's preeminent alliance of socialist and communist political parties, the UN Summit of the Future represents an essential first step towards making global institutions more legitimate, effective, and fit for the world of today and tomorrow. So everything is a lie. Everything is the exact opposite of what they're saying. And then, as you can see, it's a pretty extensive article here from Alex Newman. So we'll link to this, but it's also on thenewamerican.com. It'll be in the Substack post that I put out on Tuesday. And then this is the actual 56-page document, and we'll link directly to this as well. This is what everyone's talking about, and most likely no one's reading. But yeah, it's here. It's right here. 99th session agenda item 123, strengthening of the United Nations system. It's literally called that, strengthening of the United Nations system, the Pact for the Future. So Dr. Tenpenny was talking about some of the stuff at the end. Thought I would scroll to the end here. Commitments. Guided by these principles, we hereby pledge to promote international stability, peace, and security. Where have you heard that before? Whereby conflicts and crises are resolved through peaceful means. Ensure peaceful, inclusive, and just societies, while addressing inequalities within and among nations, and spread the needs of developing countries as well as people in vulnerable situations. So they're only here to help. They will love us all. It's so crazy. So crazy. Implement policies and programs to achieve gender equality. Of course, that one's on there. Eliminate all forms of persistent historical and structural inequalities. Honor, promote, and preserve cultural diversity. So there we go. It's all about those racist people out there. Recognize, respect, and promote and protect indigenous peoples. So this is all the front and center stuff. Undertake comprehensive and targeted strategies to achieve inclusive economic growth and sustainable development. Prioritize urgent action to address critical environmental challenges. Probably doesn't mention geoengineering, though. What do you think? Harness the benefits of existing new and emerging technologies. How about that? Strengthen cooperation among states in their response to demographic trends and realities such as rapid population growth. Oh yeah, they'll address that by killing off more people. That'll help. Strengthen cooperation among states to ensure safe, orderly, and regular migration between countries. So open borders everywhere. That's what that sounds like. Invest in accessible, safe, inclusive, and equitable quality education for all. So everybody will get the same level of brainwashing. Protect the right to the enjoyment of the highest attainable standard of physical and mental health. Which, of course, will be basically nobody will be smarter than Kamala Harris. Which I think officially her IQ is a 78. That's what I've heard. 78. So your dog or cat is far smarter than Kamala Harris. So anyway, that is some of the goodies that they are going to bestow on all of us from the Pact for the Future, UN 2.0. Wonderful, huh? Yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. Yeah, and I wonder how Equilibrio fits into all of that. You think it does? All right, naturalnews.com. Some of the top articles on there. Intelligence officials brief Trump about real and specific assassination threats they say are linked to Iran, but many Trump supporters are skeptical, as they should be. Unfortunately, he doesn't seem to be skeptical. He believes it. Might be to his demise, unfortunately. American food corporations that intentionally poison the American food supply should be prosecuted, say the food safety experts. Well, they wouldn't say that unless RFK Jr. was talking about it. So I would give kudos to him. He's at least putting the narrative out there. Netanyahu says bombings in Lebanon will continue until Israel completes mission. Our war is not with you. Our war is with Hezbollah. But we're still going to kill you. That's what he's not saying there. So, man. More about Lyme disease and ticks. And then new details emerge about assassination plot against Trump as page from manifesto is released. So that dude had a manifesto too. Don't they all? They always have manifestos. Illegal immigrant pleads guilty to stealing identity of a U.S. citizen, fraudulently obtaining a passport, and voting in multiple elections. Let me guess. You think he voted Democrat? Kamala Harris, strategist, fails to explain her economic policy during a live interview, accuses the host of being disrespectful. Yeah, how dare you question her or him? How dare you? Canadian Dr. Jordan Peterson, if I could vote in the American election, I would vote for Trump. Well, you can just cross the border illegally and you can vote all you want. You must not know that. Naturalnews.com. Now, I wanted to mention this as well, only because I heard a interview recently with, or not really an interview, but just a talk that Mike Adams was giving recently, and he mentioned this little-known page on his site, audiobooks.naturalnews.com. So for anybody out there who is in prep mode or wants to learn more about preparing for what may be in store for us, I think this is a good starting place because information is key. So this is some of Mike's freely obtainable audiobooks. Resilient Prepping, Battlefield America, Ghost World, The Contagious Mind, Survival Nutrition, and the Global Reset Survival Guide. So those 6 are available on audiobooks.naturalnews.com. Totally free. You may have to sign up for something. I don't know. I don't think so, though. It says get instant access. Yeah, they're just different URLs. So there you go. And you can listen to previews before you download if you want to. But those are freely available on Mike's site. I thought that was pretty cool. Lots of really good info on there. All right, Leo Hohmann's Substack. He didn't have anything new on his website, which is why I skipped on past it. He's putting most of his articles out on his Substack at this point. Biden-Harris FCC expedites Soros acquisition of second largest, and then it's ... second largest radio company in U.S. ahead of November election. Law requires that foreign companies may not own more than 25% of U.S. radio stations. In an unprecedented move, the FCC, the Biden-run FCC, is colluding with Soros to bypass the law and take control of 220 radio stations. First Amendment is under attack. Yeah, no kidding. So they're going to try and get a hold of all these radio stations, probably to, number one, prevent Trump from running any ads on those radio stations, but number two, use them for total information control and disinformation, which of course is what they call the truth, which is actual real disinformation. And what they call disinformation is the real information, and that's the truth. So you just flip it around 180 degrees, you know exactly what's going on. So these are some of the other articles on Leo's Substack, leohohmann.substack.com. Interesting stuff there. And then just some of the headlines on Wine Press News. FEMA partners with the NFL to make stadiums disaster ready for civilians, including mass. Isn't that fun? So the NFL is once again selling us out. Well, not really me, because I'm not particularly a NFL fan, but if you are, then just get ready. They're making deals with FEMA here. OpenAI officially ditches non-for-profit status and abandons pledges to regulate AI. Yep. I mentioned that earlier. They're just throwing it all out there and only care about getting rich. Foreshadowing, Congress considers new constitutional amendment to rapidly replace dead congressmen after mass casualty event. Isn't that nice? Mass casualty event. That they didn't have this in the headline, but I'm sure they mean that we can blame on MAGA, that we can blame on conservatives, that we can blame on Christians, because that's probably the plan, if you ask me. If there's going to be an actual mass casualty event in Washington that doesn't involve Putin nuking Washington, which who knows at this point, that's probably what it would be. They would do the dirty work themselves so they can blame MAGA and Trump and Christians and conservatives and libertarians and anyone who disagrees with Kamala Harris at all. So yeah, FDA approves at-home, do-it-yourself. Sounds a little bit like the self-implantable biochips that we were just looking at. Kind of interesting. BlackRock and Microsoft create AI infrastructure investment fund. Lovely. Built to rent neighborhoods are steadily becoming the new normal in the U.S. as home ownership becomes unattainable. That's right, the American dream is now a nightmare, if you ask me. British bank NatWest uses carbon tracker. Carbon tracker, where have you heard that? The old carbon tracker footprint, remember? Remember that clip from a year or two ago? British bank uses carbon tracker to monitor and crack down on customers' meat purchases. So again, this will be tied to your little chip that you have implanted or whatever it is. Or your chip that's injected. May just be injected. Mark of the beast system, right? Moody's says U.S. economic conditions will worsen because politicians cannot stop spending and expanding deficits. No, they would consider that too racist. Telegram has been compromised. Will now provide governments with IP addresses and phone numbers, removes problematic content. It says will provide government, singular, but I think it's probably many governments, because it's not just the French government who's interested in this, but in fact, all of the governments of the EU and the US and everywhere else. It says California woman suffers terrible injuries after receiving meningitis, pneumonia, and tetanus from these guys all at once. Wow, that would make for a bad day. I hate that this is even happening, but I've seen pictures of her on Twitter pretty often. Not sure if she got the guy, but she got all these others. U.S. sends additional troops to Middle East amidst rising tensions with Israel and Lebanon. I wonder who's causing the tension. Bank of Canada suspends plans to bring the CBDC to the public. I would say they're only temporarily delaying it at best. NBC admits Parkinson's disease was caused by chemical pollutants pumped into the air. Interesting. Yeah, Christians today are a powerless embarrassment that no one takes seriously. That's from a few days ago now. So the rest of those headlines I think we've read through before. WinePressNews.com. And found a couple of memes here I thought were worth passing along. Billionaire tells middle-class Americans to ignore the 25% price increase on groceries and just vote for Kamala. We won't mention the billionaire we're talking about, but you can see her there. Lovely, huh? And then they're just being frugal. Members of Congress making $174,000 a year, and yet they can afford things like massive mansions with swimming pools on the, I don't know, probably in Florida or somewhere, and his and hers yachts, So yeah, they're just being frugal. They're saving their pennies. They're clipping coupons. That's all. They're not taking anything illegally. They're not taking illegal campaign contributions and payoffs from AIPAC and Big Pharma and sponsored by Jersey. None of that. No. They would never do that. They wouldn't sell us out. All right. And then let's see. Gateway Pundit top articles I've pulled up. John Kerry derides First Amendment as major roadblock to government being able to hammer dissent out of existence. Again, they're uncloaking themselves. We have the full clip on this on the very last video tonight that we'll play as we're signing off for the evening. So that is what this one's talking about, though. All right, and then here's the Biolab. Biolab chemical plant in Conyers, Georgia ignites in flames. Hazardous black and orange smoke fills the air. Shelter-in-place order and evacuations are underway. Again, it's in a battleground state. I wonder why. It's probably just a coincidence. A Georgia chemical plant ignited in flames Sunday morning at 5 a.m. reportedly due to a sprinkler malfunction that caused a chemical reaction, sending billows of smoke into the air. Yeah, it caused a chemical reaction because the water from the sprinkler, it's probably the fluoride in the water that did it. I don't know. Just a guess. It says Kamala is campaigning in Vegas today, likely unbothered by the fire and the severe flooding from Hurricane Helene. And who even knows where the so-called president is? It's just one of the many catastrophes and disasters we've seemingly had more frequently in Biden's fake administration. So anyway, residents of the area were immediately evacuated and asked to stay inside with windows closed to prevent exposure to the hazardous materials. I'm trying to see what all chemicals it was. During a 10 a.m. press conference, it was revealed that the incident began around 5 o'clock. Officials say that a sprinkler in the plant malfunctioned, causing water to make contact with a reactive chemical that resulted in a small fire on the roof of the plant and a large plume. Yeah, that looks like a little more than a small fire. Anyway, that's what's going on in Georgia. So they had their own issues. Southern Georgia had their own issues with the hurricane, and now this. All right, what a joke. Kamala claims she will finally secure the border if she wins. Quote, our system must be orderly and secure. Uh-huh. Look at how presidential they're trying to make her look. Border czar Kamala visited the southern border in Douglas, Arizona on Friday, and she claimed that she will do more to secure our border after creating the worst border crisis in history. Yeah, it's her fault, but you shouldn't bother looking at that little bit of truth. No, just believe her when she says she's going to secure the border. We know this isn't true because if she had any intention of securing the border, she would do it now because she can. She's in charge. So, she lost 325,000 children. Trump slams Kamala and her open border policies at press conference. So that's a separate article, but yeah. She's lost 325,000 kids. Again, that's just a number they're reporting officially. The real number could be 2-3 times that. We just don't know. Report, Seattle police will no longer respond to security alarms without supporting evidence. So you have to have supporting evidence if your house alarm goes off. Police in the far left city of Seattle will apparently no longer respond to security alarms, so why bother having one? Unless there is supporting evidence which compels them to do so. This is a reminder of what the left has done to the country. This sort of thing was never an issue before Democrats and the media began vilifying police and then starting the movement to defund the police. And that all started with what? Of course. Criminals read the news too. They see reports like this one and know that they have every advantage. That's right. They know whose side they're on. The next one here I've got pulled up on Gary Pundit. Hillary doubles down on infamous deplorables comment. Says it was too kind of a word, which we mentioned this earlier, but that's another article. people covering it. And then North Carolina removes 747,000 ineligible voters from its rolls, including over 130,000 dead people. We know how the Democrats like to recruit dead people to vote for them. Happens all the time. Well, it just so happens, though, that now, I mean, it's a different county, I guess, but it is interesting, though, that North Carolina has now been hit by a hurricane, or at least the remnants of one, and flooded to no end. At least part of the state has. So, yeah. North Carolina's State Board of Elections has removed a staggering 747,000 individuals from its list of registered voters, including more than 130,000 deceased individuals over the past 20 months. State Board of Elections provided a detailed breakdown of the reasons behind the removal of 747,274 individuals from the voter rolls. Yeah. The largest category of removals, totaling 289,000, involved voters who had moved within the state and did not update their registration. Another 246,000 were flagged after failing to participate in the last two federal elections, leading to an inactive status. So, anyways, it looks like North Carolina is trying to clean up their voter registration rolls, at least to some degree. And now they've been hit by a hurricane, or at least the remnants of one. Kid absolutely bodies Kamala on CNN interview. Fake news. CNN interviewed 10-year-olds about the 2024 election, and one child did not hold back when asked about Kamala. Yeah. I saw a couple others, and they were pretty good, but this one was the best.
What's the first word that pops into your head when you hear the name Kamala Harris?
Liar.
What's the first word that pops into your head when you hear the name Kamala Harris?
Liar.
So there you go. At least he's honest. Liar. Funny. Too funny. All right, and then an article I found on Truth in Media. Zuckerberg reportedly comes out as, quote, libertarian. Yeah, right. Historically, a major backer of left-wing causes, Zuck now reportedly identifies as libertarian. Sources close with the Silicon Valley magnate claim that his beliefs now align most closely with libertarianism or classical liberalism, just weeks after Zuck referred to Trump as a bad arse after an attempt on his life in July in Butler, PA. Seeing Trump get up after getting shot in the face and pump his fist in the air with an American flag is one of the most bad arse things I've ever seen in my life, Zuck says. On some level, as an American, it's like hard to not get kind of emotional about that spirit and that fight, and I think that that's why a lot of people like the guy. This also comes as Musk continues his enthusiastic support for Trump, contributing an astounding $45 million a month to his presidential campaign. But Zuck's support for Trump has not come without hostility from within the corporate media. Daily Beast released a piece slamming Zuckerberg as Trump's libertarian phone buddy. Phone buddy. Too funny. Anyway, that's on Truth in Media. And then activist post headlines. Emotion AI excites some businesses, but the legal landscape feels fickle. Talking about AI again. Welcome to DARPA's new mass surveillance control tool. Yeah, Lockheed Martin. Oh boy. U.S. #1 defense contractor, right? Brace for layoffs. ING's new AI model definitely outperforming humans in pricing currencies. Digital ID, the foundation for technocracy. United Nations signs the pact for the future. What comes next? So more about that. Technocracy, Brave New World of 2030. Let's see. The mainstream media doesn't want to let you go. Yeah, they get too much money and power from us. Advanced AI system is already self-aware. ASI Alliance founder warns. Small town of Chimney Rock wiped out by hurricane and massive flooding. Check out all the damage in North Carolina and Tennessee. Yeah, again, I'm in Tennessee, but way west of here. This is East Tennessee. I'm in more like the middle area. So anyway, that is another article with further videos and Biden doing absolutely everything he can to help those poor people in East Tennessee and North Carolina and Florida and Georgia. Yeah, right. Doing nothing. Trump's meeting with Zelensky was one of the most entertaining things that happened in politics all week. I understand that the Haitian politician spilling water all over himself was pretty funny. Oh yeah, we'll have a look at that. But I think Trump's meeting with the Ukrainian actor turned president eclipsed him.
So we have a very good relationship, and I also have a very good relationship, as you know, with President Putin. And I think if we win, I think we're going to get it resolved very quickly. I really think we're going to get it resolved.
I hope we have more good relations.
We're going to have. Oh, I see. Yeah, but you know, it takes two to tango.
Takes two to tango, he says. Yes. That's funny. Zelensky had it. He starts kind of nervously rubbing his face when Trump says that he likes Putin and that they have a good relationship. This is like Zelensky's arch enemy, at least in the press. Putin. Too funny. I have a very good relationship with Putin, he says. And then Zelensky says, I hope we have more good relations with us. Takes two to tango, Trump says. What a joke. Yep, the gay dancer in high heels and leather, i.e. Zelensky. All right. RFK Jr. expertly trolled Kamala at Trump rally last night by teaching them a short little phrase to answer any question. We mentioned this last week because I had a meme. I don't have it pulled up now, but yes, it's the only words that you need to know as an excuse for anything that ever happens or goes wrong in your life. I was born in the middle class. That's all you have to say. So this is actually RFK Jr. talking about that. It says RFK Jr. at Trump rally in Michigan. All you have to know is 7 words, and you never have to admit doing anything wrong again. And it's these 7 words. I was born in the middle class. Just start with that. That's all you need to say. Because Kamala can do it. Somehow I don't think it'll work for the rest of us. Do you? InfoWars article, port strikes. This is coming up the next few days. Port strikes threaten to inflict massive shortages across numerous industries just weeks before Election Day. You suppose the Harris and Biden team will come through with a, midnight or 11:30 p.m. Fix on all this stuff. Look at what we did. I don't know. It says Chase breaks down how an imminent worker strike at seaports along the East Coast may plunge the U.S. into a major crisis with shortages across numerous industries, with just weeks left to go until the election. So, yeah, it remains to be seen as to how terrible that's going to be. So, hopefully it will get resolved, but who knows? Remember that angry feminist? Well, this is her today. They do look awfully similar. The same crazy look in their eyes. When you see the top whites part of their eyes, that's like a red flag. That's a red flag in psychological studies. When you can see when someone's talking and you see the white part above their irises, that means they're psycho, basically. So anyway, thought that was pretty funny though. It's a good meme. What the F is this? This is a clip here about an interesting thing that's been spotted. I think it's in Germany. So here's what this is all about.
Modern art is relentlessly ugly and weird, but when they weaponize it with social engineering targeting children, it takes on an even more disturbing tone. Meet Lily, a giant baby puppet that looks like it came straight out of Chucky Central Casting. Yeah, why does it look like what would happen if Frankenstein and a zombie procreated?
Oh my god.
Locals said they were freaked out by the puppet's creepy appearance. I came around the corner and I thought, it's just creepy with its eyes shut, never mind open. The 27-foot-high figure has been installed in Rochdale by the council to encourage school children to talk about the environment. They've recorded the children's responses to the baby and will broadcast them out of its mouth. But it's what the creators have programmed to emerge from this monstrosity that should concern you the most. It's basically a device to brainwash kids about climate change. Lily is accompanied by this red-haired woman in dungarees who I'm sure is the fountain of all accurate and balanced information about global warming. It's supposed to inspire children, yet will only succeed in giving them terrifying nightmares. And not just about the zombie baby, but by traumatizing them with hysterical claims about planetary Armageddon. Because of the doomsday nonsense about the climate being spouted by these clowns, 57% of child and adolescent psychiatrists surveyed in England are seeing children and young people distressed about the climate crisis and the state of the environment. They're literally fanning the flames of a new wave of childhood depression by scaring the life out of them with this kind of feverish crap.
Wow. Yeah, I don't think Paul knows about geoengineering, and I do think that there's a climate issue. Yes, for sure. But I get what he's saying, and he's not wrong. And a giant baby, a zombie baby, I don't think that that's really going to help. Haitian leader spills water all over himself after drinking it straight from the jug. Well, he literally drinks it from the pitcher. It says while complaining about Americans being racist.
Haiti, this land that has offered the world a symbol of unshakable freedom and which has helped several nations to throw off their yoke of barbaric colonialism, is not looking for charity, but justice, respect, respect for its...
Yeah, respect. You're not going to get any respect by pouring water all over yourself when you're trying to drink from the pitcher. Were they out of cups, or does he just not know what a cup is? Does he normally drink from pitchers? If you ask me, that was a really redneck thing to do. And he looks like he's probably not a redneck, but definitely redneck-ish, at least. Too funny. That's on modernity.news. And another really good... I posted this in Ban, another good meme I found. Now that the company's diversity goals have been achieved, you can see how diverse this wonderful group is. They just kind of happen to all look the same now. But at least they're not white, straight people. Not to brag, but I've been the same gender since birth. Thought that was funny. Pay no attention to that hand sign. It doesn't mean I love the devil. It's just part of the meme. Get over it. Not to brag, but I've been the same gender since birth. That's true. Thought that was funny. And this one, I believe that I am a frog. You must also believe that I am a frog. If you refuse to believe that I am a frog, you are afraid of me and full of hate. That's so true, though. So accurate. These crazy people in their dress-up cosplay worlds. Guess they have nothing better to do, I suppose. All right, top headlines on vaccineimpact.com. Zionism and sex trafficking are the biggest dangers to Americans heading into the election. Which ones were put behind bars for child sex trafficking and which ones were not? Well, they got Diddy and they got Trump here and they got Giselle, I guess, and they got Epstein, and I don't know who else, some kids. So I guess based on all that, he's guilty, but I don't know. So that is one of the headlines, one of the stories on Vaccine Impact. Free speech is cheap, forbidden or banned speech is expensive and may cost you your life, is the other article on here. So anyway, that's the top ones on Vaccine Impact. And then Dane's site for this week got a short little video we'll watch as well. GeoWatch Global Alert News for this week, September 28th, show 477. It's called Steering Hurricane Helene. People should not be there. Unsurvivable. 20-foot storm surge predicted as ferocious Hurricane Helene heads toward Florida. Was Hurricane Helene everything official sources said it would be? Or are there elements of the equation that no official source will ever make mention of? Why would we think otherwise? World's oceans on the verge of being too acidic. too acidic or sustain life, scientists warn. Political momentum for solar geoengineering non-use growing. Well, that's good. Can global climate engineering operations be exposed and halted in time to make a difference? So that is the blurb of text there on GeoWatch about the show for this week, which is Global Alert News for September the 28th, which was Saturday. And then the other post that we put up the same day is more specifically about Hurricane Helene. Was the hurricane's path and behavior just an act of nature? What do you think? Are networks of ground-based frequency transmitters being utilized to manipulate and steer hurricanes? This video footage provides visual evidence of the interaction between ground-based frequency transmitter installations in the path of Hurricane Helene. So I've got that pulled up here. Thought we'd watch it. It's a 90-second alert, so it's really short.
Was Hurricane Helene's path and behavior just the result of natural processes and climate patterns, or was it manipulated? The circular blue flashes seen in this video are frequency transmissions from the NEXRAD network of transmitter installations. All available science evidence makes clear that atmospheric frequency transmissions can and do have a repelling effect on air masses, especially if and when the air masses have been seeded with electrically conductive nanoparticles. The brighter the blue flash from a frequency transmission installation, the more pronounced and powerful the repelling effect on any air mass or storm in the vicinity will be. Where there are no blue flashes, there is no transmission, thus no repelling effect, thus no resistance for a migrating storm. Translation: a migrating storm will be hindered from moving toward frequency transmissions and will easily migrate in a direction with no transmissions. So again, I ask, was Hurricane Helene's path and behavior just an act of nature, or was it engineered? You decide.
You can see here that the frequencies, the transmitters, are basically inactive in that part of the southeast where they wanted the storm to go. See, there it's still headed that direction. And then there you can see that the frequency transmitters have been turned off or not projecting a signal, at least at that point, so that they can let it go over certain areas if they want to. So pretty interesting, huh? So that's a pretty good catch, I think. I think it was steered, just by looking at that at least. Fairly easy to see. The scheduled weather for this week, the gray area, which is where the remnants of the hurricane are being used to cool the eastern half of the U.S., is where it's where I am, and then where a majority of the population of the U.S. is. So yeah, near normal it says, but just means cooler than the other parts of the U.S. But you can see it's got the stripes more or less down the middle, and the west is going to be pretty warm. So that is the scheduled weather for the week. These dates are October 5th through October 9th. This was issued on September 29th, so yesterday. So that is what they have planned for us. Precipitation, a little more than normal on the East Coast and way below normal in the West. Well, from the Midwest to the West. So that is scheduled weather this time around. So we got October 7th coming up again, the anniversary of what happened last year. What do you guys think will happen? You think anything big will happen? I've heard all sorts of stories that there could be some of these networks of terrorist people that are now in the country, thanks to Harris and Biden, that they have some sort of October 7th surprise attack plans. I don't know. I don't know if that's actually going to happen or not. That will be basically a week from today. So anyway, Yeah, Kelly Sands, hotter than Hades here. 117 in Phoenix. Wow, that is really hot. Anyways, yeah, so I guess that's it for me tonight. I've got to the end of the articles. We do have one more video here, though. I want to play that because it's got that John Kerry clip in it that I think is very telling. So let's watch that here in just a second. But we'll wrap it up and make sure you're on the Substack list. This is what it looks like once you click through and subscribe. This is the most recent post here in the center. And last week's show was Harris Threatens Americans. And that was actually right here on YouTube. That was actually deleted not deleted, but shut off on YouTube earlier in the week. They gave me a flag, but no strike, and said you can't have this video on our platform. And then didn't really give me a reason as to what I supposedly broke on the YouTube community guidelines or whatever. So I appealed, and they reinstated the video, which I couldn't believe. So that was lucky on my part. It wouldn't have been a strike, but I hate losing videos for dumb stuff. And, anytime I've lost a video, it's always been dumb stuff. But, yeah, they couldn't really answer the questions that I had asked them. And number one was just tell me in minutes and seconds where the offending material is. And why couldn't you just, if there's a piece of the video that doesn't agree with their community standards, why don't you tell me the section in minutes and seconds and then allow that to be removed from the video instead of taking the whole video down? That was basically what I said in the appeal, and they reinstated the video. That's all it was. So all I did was basically challenge them just a little bit, and they relinquished their the hold on the video. So they reinstated it, and it's back up and running. So that's good. So it did kind of kill the view count. I mean, there's gotten a few more views since then, but at least the video is there. So that's welcome to YouTube land, I guess. But at least it's back, so that's good, I guess. And then make sure you're supporting on the Diamond Report store if possible. Not really a plea for money, but just if you want to help the show, help the broadcast, help me make ends meet, because this show is completely funded out of pocket, as many of you guys know. So I haven't added any new products. I will look and see if there's anything else I can add, but we've got some pretty good ones on here. Some different mugs and hats and shirts and laptop sleeves and what else? Stickers and some hoodies. People seem to like. The products are really good quality. And ordered some myself, actually. I've got some stickers here, actually. Here's some Diamond Report stickers. Good quality. And this is the music company that I own, Diamond Disc Audio. Diamond Disc Audio, that's the bigger of the mugs that are available. And then this is the water bottle I've got here on my desk. End times dates. So you can kind of see what they look like. They're really good quality, and I've been happy with them. So thank you guys for supporting the show that way if you so desire. It is there. And then had a couple new folks on the paying side of Substack. So thank you guys for doing that very much. Really appreciate that. Any little bit helps fund the operation, as they say. And then this is my main business day to day. So if you guys are involved in music at all, or have friends or family that is, maybe point them to my site, and it might be a good chance for me to drum up some new business. And that's always helpful as well, because it's really this business that's helping fund what I'm doing right now. So if I weren't doing that, I probably wouldn't be doing this show. So yeah, diamonddiscaudio.com. 28 years in business. I can't believe it. I guess that makes me old. But yeah, it's been around a while, and it's literally just me, myself, and I, all three of us. No, it's just me, and I don't have any employees or anything, which I think is one of the reasons that I've been able to stay in business for so long, honestly. So yeah, if you want to find out more about what I do, it's right there. It's mostly music business related stuff, but Diamond Digital Media is the other part of the company where I'm building websites, doing graphic design, and doing things like that. So that is also all on here as well. I do music supervision and sync placement too. So it's sort of one little part of the music business aspect of what I do. And then here's a few of the websites that I've built, just a few of them. There's way more than that. And then some customer testimonials too. So thank you guys very much for anything you can do to send business my way. I really, really appreciate that very much. Make sure you're subscribed over on Rumble, and many of you are on YouTube already, so thank you for subscribing. And yeah, my view count's still going down. I had a really good meme that was posted earlier in the band group, which Miss Emily has put the link to join that in the chats on both Rumble and YouTube. And I think it was, I want to say maybe Mark posted it. It was pretty funny in band earlier from a few days ago, and it had a skeleton sitting on a park bench, and he captioned it by saying, "It's Doug waiting for YouTube's approval on his videos," or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty accurate. So waiting for YouTube to stop censoring me, which that's never going to happen. I know that. But anyway, I did notice that my view count's sliding the opposite way. So my numbers are going down on YouTube, but I guess that's just the way it goes. At least I'm still on there, so that's good. And then here is Rumble. I'm Diamond Disc on Rumble, and you saw the name of the business. That's why I'm Diamond Disc on all these other platforms. It's just my business name. I've used it over the years, and it's pretty easy for people to remember. It's just one word. And then same thing on BitChute and Brighteon. So Diamond Disc on those places. And then on Band, it is just at the Diamond Report. So band.us/ and then an @ symbol, the Diamond Report. So if you want to join the group, we've had some really good people join the group, and we've also had some bots join the group trying to sell Taylor Swift tickets to us all, which we all get a laugh at. And I figured out that it's really just a bot doing it because it's the same name being used over and over. So I banned it. Hopefully it won't come back, because none of us want Taylor Swift tickets. I can tell you that. So anyways, thank you guys very much for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. And don't forget, when the fire's coming, just say, "This is fine. This is fine." Just like this little guy. So anyways, hope you guys have a blessed week. Love you all, and we'll talk to you again very soon. Stay tuned for this last video. You got to see this John Kerry clip where he's talking about how tyrannical he hopes he can be, and he hopes that that those in charge can be, holding us all down and making sure that we become their slaves. So I think it's pretty much says it all. So anyways, we'll be back again next week. We will be live again on October the 6th. So the night before the 7th. Not sure anything bad will happen. Hopefully it won't. But yeah, the next show will be 10 p.m. Central on the 6th. So we'll see you guys then. Hope you guys have a blessed week. Make sure you stay in touch and keep Jesus front and center in your life. Because, again, we don't have any idea how much time we have. My feeling and thinking on this is that it may not be very long. So love those who you are with, and make sure you get the most out of every single day, every single moment, because we just don't know how much time we have. Love you guys. Thanks so much, and take care.